All right. Church red flags. We're going to wrap it up with this. I've got 6 of them. 6 red flags. If you're going to a church...
I thought it was technically 5.
It's 5, but there's a 0. Which I've been informed since I wrote it down. I could have just changed the numbers. Instead of changing the numbers, I added a 0. Which is technically not a number. It's the absence of a number. It's my daggum list. So there's 6. We're going to start with 0. Red flag. If you go to a church, you're trying to find a church in the community. You're evaluating. Do I go to this church? Do we plug in or not? 6 things that if you see, check out. Find another church. If you're going to a church and you see these things, it's a red flag. Maybe you should look for another church. Number 0. Also known as number 1.
Okay, so before the show,
good grief,
Zach is explaining this list to us.
We're gonna spin this off.
He starts it off, and Justin just goes, "You wrote them on paper. You could have just changed it."
I did
but he has it listed as number 0, and then he has under that number 1.
Okay, I did a list. I went 1 through 5.
All right, I'm adding another one. If you can't make fun of your pastor,
it's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
I went 1 through 5, and then when I got done, I was like, "Oh man, there's one that should be before 1." Hence 0. Anyway, number 0. And again, it was a recap thing. It's like this has to go on the list first and foremost. If the church you're checking out or the church you're attending requires NDAs of their employees, bail quickly. Bad sign across the board. It's like there's no transparency. NDAs.
The only good reason for a company or an entity to have an NDA is if they have trade secrets that they don't want somebody taking and giving to their competition.
Oh, for sure.
Like if you're building nuclear weapons or something,
or non-compete clauses.
Right.
We're not talking about in the business world. Yeah, everyone should sign an NDA. I don't need you running around talking about like we fired your butt because you stunk, and we don't need you running around the community trashing our product or telling them how we make our thing.
A church with an NDA is crazy.
Church is not a business. It should be above reproach. Should be above reproach. If you need an NDA to be above reproach, shame on you. Number 1.
Been told to remove the hot sauce from the producer.
Oh, okay. Just don't spill it. You've already thrown the cap across the room.
It was right in the middle of your shot.
Well, now after tasting it, it deserves it.
Okay, number 1, which is at number 2, but we've covered that. Church red flag. They're not transparent with money, or they overemphasize money. A couple easy tells for this. The reason this is important is the Bible tells us that it's the love of money that is the root of all evil. This is why money's a big thing. So like, observe how a church addresses, deals with money. It tells you a lot about the church, about the leadership, about their goals, their ambitions, their direction. Money is a tell. How people in general handle money is a tell. If that church doesn't release financial reports, that's a tell. Now, if you go to the church, you're visiting a church, you're like, hey, we're liking what's going on here, but we would love to kind of have a glimpse into the finances. If they immediately shut you down, that's a red flag. If they say, we reserve our full financials for our members, but we can give you a printed summary. Now that's meeting you halfway. Like that makes sense. But if they don't produce any financial reports, or they're very coy with money, like that's just an insight. Now don't go on a rail. You're not going to change it. Leave. Find another church that is. Another tell. If they're coy regarding the pastor's salary. So if they do produce a financial report, but like there's nothing about the pastor, or you go to ask about the pastor and no one wants to answer your questions, like why? Like be transparent. Again, there's no reason to not be transparent about money. If every third Sunday there's a pledge or there's a drive or they're sending out emails about giving, or they want to know, and again, this happens, they want to know what your W-2 looks like so they can make sure that you're actually tithing 10% and not fluffing the church. Again, how a church handles money lets you know if it's a ministry or business. If they're trusting God to provide, or this is all about man building something. Again, how a church handles money tells you a lot about the church. And it can be a wonderful, encouraging thing where you're like, yeah, I think this is where we want to be. Or it's an immediate red flag, pull the ripcord, find another place to go. 2 or 3. Sunday service is focused more on, quote, reaching people as opposed to serving the church. That doesn't mean that there isn't an appropriate application for a church sets aside 4 weeks of revival. That's great. Or if there's not an emphasis for a particular Sunday, let's say it's Easter, and they're like, hey, this morning's going to be evangelical. This would be a great service for you to bring your unsaved friends. Sweet. But if it's a consistent thing, if you are going to church week after week, and it's like, man, every service ends with an altar call. There's this push every week about me bringing people, unsaved people. If it seems to be that the whole approach to the service itself is outreach as opposed to ministry, like that's a tell that you are going to a church that is more interested in the people that aren't there than the people who are. That they're more interested with reaching other people than equipping the people they have. That they're more interested and focused on a macro scale about growing the church as opposed to the health of the church. That's an important thing because that means that they're more interested in adding people than seeing you develop. Again, it's it's a red flag. 4th, observe the lead pastor. Now, I've got like a couple sub-points to this one. If you go to a church and the pastor is a woman, red flag, leave. Now, that might get me a lot of heat. I'll stand by it. Leave. Their theology is skewed. Their understanding of the Bible is skewed. Their emphasis and approach to men will be warped. How they deal with your kids is whack. Like, if the woman's a pastor, don't go to that church. If the pastor doesn't dress age appropriate, it's a good tell that something's off. Like when you see a 50-year-old man wearing skinny jeans and a deep V with a chain and like Nike sneakers, first he looks weird, but something's off. Like something's weird. Like there's websites dedicated to this. You could actually track pastors that have had affairs and how they dress, and it's not appropriate. Like, again, like I don't need my 60-year-old dude like looking like a skater punk. In what world is that even relevant or appropriate? Like, now I'm not saying that you can't like dress nice or even be fashionable, but there is something like age appropriate. I try to remove all nuance about, like, I don't want what I'm wearing to be a focal point in any context. I wear cloud tennis shoes because my feet are messed up and it's the most comfortable thing I can wear. I might wear Clark's Wallabies because they're also comfortable. I wear Docker khakis because they're comfortable. And most Sundays, I'm either wearing a black t-shirt because it's slimming, or I'm wearing some type of Calvary 316 gear because I don't want it to draw attention. And you're like, he's trying to promote Calvary 316 gear. I give it all away.
And yes, we are trying to promote Calvary 316 gear.
Not to make any money. Often I wear Calvary 316 gear you can't buy.
It's funny. I've been noticed that about half of my wardrobe is either Calvary 316, Outlaw Radio, or Get Fed Today.
Or have been hand-me-down from me.
Yeah, I was counting those.
Okay. within this classification of observe the senior pastor, is the pastor accountable to anyone? Does he have men in his life that he's clearly accountable to? Is he accessible? Now, I'm going to be careful there because we're going to scale this. If your church is 80 people and you can't talk to your pastor, there's a problem. If your church is 12,000 people and you're like, dadgummit, he won't return my email. Come on, man. Like, I can't get a lunch appointment with this guy. There's 12,000 people that are going to the church. Like, keep it real. I will say this, I think it's cool. I had many opportunities to go to Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa, which was a mega church. Pastor Chuck Smith would get done preaching. He'd walk out the sanctuary. He'd stand in the foyer. And that man would stand there. He couldn't have full conversations with people, but he would shake hands, say hello to anybody and everybody that lined up to do so. That's being approachable. At Calvary 316, we have only one door. I've come to realize my personality is not that great. I don't want to run anybody off. So I stand down front. And if anybody wants to encounter this abrasive personality, you're free to. I'm not forcing myself on anyone by trapping you in the only exit in our facility. But I'm open and available. And I think that there's an attitude to it. Let me close with how to evaluate the lead pastor. The easiest way you can tell if he's got his priorities. And again, follow me here. You need to pay for him to go play a round of golf with you. And then you observe his golf game. If he's good at golf, he's not spending enough time studying. If he's not very good at golf, you can tell he's prioritizing the right things. His family, his wife, his kids. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to give you a numerical equivalency. If you go play 18 holes with your pastor and he shoots under an 85 more than once, leave that church. He's spending too much time on the golf course. But if your pastor's consistently a bogey golfer, averaging around 90 to 94, 95, you know what that tells you about your pastor? The dude loves Jesus. And he's got his priorities in line. Like this guy.
I really like the fact that you said not only do you have to go play.
No, you got to go pay.
You have to go pay.
No, you got to go like.
You have to pay to go to.
No,
to
because
golf
you
with
can't
your
go and like drive
pastor.
around
That's-
watching him. Like you got to go like.
Yeah, you can if you're sneaky.
No,
Do your
I'm
research.
I'm not you. You have to pay the round. Are you paying for the pastor? in
Oh, yeah,
this?
for sure.
Yeah.
I can
You're
think-
paying for your pastor to play this round of golf.
Absolutely.
So you can. Yeah.
I can think of,
Just
of an
checking.
exception.
That way, if he
checking.
shoots
Yeah.
70 and you leave the church, he got something out of it.
I can think of one exception. What if you're just trying to meet with your congregants and they take you out to play golf all the time and you just naturally get good because you're always playing golf, being with your people of your flock?
Do you realize how good you have to be consistently under 85? I picked a number for a
No,
reason.
because I'm not very good at golf.
Yeah. You have
It's
to play.
not accidental. You cannot be under 85 twice in a row accidentally.
Yeah. As
can't.
much
It
as
never-
I would
never
love my
happens.
ministry philosophy to be 3 hours with a brother on the golf course 5 days a week, that's still not a realistic thing, nor would I be shooting under 85 consistently. Let's go to number 4, also known as number 5. Is the experience on Sunday manufactured? Now, I wrote that carefully because there can be an experience. But there is a difference between having an experience through manipulation technique as opposed to having an experience from an organic moving of God. Should you have an experience at church? Absolutely. But it should happen because God moves on your heart. And it wasn't a manipulation technique, which is easy to do. As a youth pastor, I could go into a week-long retreat, and if I wanted to, I could say, hey, this is how the flow of the week's going to go. Thursday night, the night before we leave, will be cry night. Everyone will rededicate their life because I can manipulate the week to break everyone down. Like, again, getting into like some of what we talked about with Bethel. Like, there are techniques that you can employ, especially if you're charismatic, where you can pull from the audience an experience. You can manufacture it. But who cares? Who cares if it's manipulated? If it's organic, that's different. And lastly, does the church teach the Bible? And I think that's probably the easiest one because so many of these other things will fall in line. But if you go to a church and you go for a few weeks and they're teaching from the Bible, little topicals that they're pulling out to make whatever point they're wanting to make, are you really going to grow? Are you really going to develop as a Christian versus like going to a church and they're opening the Bible and they're going verse by verse, chapter by chapter? Now, I know I'm predisposed to expositional Bible teaching. That's my thing. I do think that people can teach the Bible and it maybe even not be expositional. But I think you know what I mean. Like, are you being fed as opposed to are you being entertained? Are you being tickled? Like the Bible says that in later days, there'll be teachers that tickle the ears. Like, are you getting meat and potatoes? I have a friend that he watches 2 live streams every Sunday morning. He watches one of a massive seeker-friendly church, and he says that's his coach. He gets coached up for his business and other things, and then he watches us because he gets fed. I think that's insightful, especially in the description. But that's a tell, isn't it? Like, why are you going to church? Now, what did I not talk about? I didn't talk about, like, is the church friendly? Are you given a community? Those things, that's kind of on you. Like, you got to do those things. There are things that the responsibility is on your shoulders. Like, the church doesn't exist so that you have a community or that they give you friends. But these things, NDAs, transparency with money, reaching people or equipping people, the lead pastor, an experience, manufactured or organic, teaching the Bible, those are red flags. And to close it all out, you look at Bethel Church, and there are some red flags and some warnings. Now, does that mean that we stop playing all their music in church? No. We should pray for them. We should pray for their leadership. We should pray for the church and the congregants. We should pray that they come back to what the church is supposed to be. Final thoughts, and let's wrap it out.
Find a church. If you can't find a church that teaches the Bible well, check out Get Fed Today.
A lot of churches and communities.
Yes.
If you're local, check out Calvary 316. Dear Daddy.
Yeah, I'm just glad I found this church and not that mess.
Right. For sure. Spice.
Like I said before, find a good church that hits all 0 through 5.
Thank you for that. That hits all 6, 0 through 5.
That was smooth.
And get involved in the church. Don't just sit there and like get fed. I mean, that's the cool thing about 316 is Zach's the only paid guy at the church. The rest of us are volunteers. And I don't hate that at all.
I'm very thankful.
And I'm not just talking about there being on a Sundays. I mean, there's been a few times where I was there almost every day of the week.
I've definitely had
and
weeks like that.
Didn't hate it.
Yeah.
And that says something about a church when you can go there, volunteer your time, money, sweat, blood, tears, whatever, and not hate it because you're there to help serve the people of God.
100%. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us tonight with the Outlaw Radio Show. If you liked the show, few things. Be sure to subscribe. If it's YouTube, subscribe. If it's Facebook, like. Follow us on X. Also, be sure to turn on your notifications so that when we go live, you get notified. Join us Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. If you're listening to the podcast, especially, join us live. If you are listening to the podcast, thank you. Again, same rigmarole. Like it, subscribe, leave a comment, leave us a rating. We appreciate that. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify. Google doesn't have a platform anymore, so we're going to remove that. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of this ministry. We appreciate you, and we will see you guys 8 o'clock next week.